Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force, JTF. My name is Chaim Ben Pesach. President Bush and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice announced that they intend to increase U.S. foreign aid to all nations of the Middle East and basically to all nations of the world. They want to drastically increase U.S. foreign aid, including foreign aid to Little Israel. This is a disaster. All U.S. foreign aid is a disaster. But first I want to address the issue of foreign aid to Israel. We've done it on other programs, but I just want to briefly recap why we are opposed to all foreign aid to Israel. Foreign aid to Israel should be ended immediately. It is the worst thing for Israel. Foreign aid is destroying Israel. Number one, foreign aid to Israel causes unnecessary dependence economically. The state of Israel receives only $3 billion a year from the United States, and that $3 billion constitutes less than 5% of Israel's budget. Israel can easily do without the foreign aid. But as a result of the foreign aid, Israel's corrupt politicians are able to continue to have state-owned industries and a socialist-type economy in Israel that is choking off entrepreneurship and choking off Jewish brain power, because the Jews are such a brainy, brilliant people. They could create the technological powerhouse of the world in Little Israel. But because of foreign aid, they're able to continue to subsidize these state-owned companies that are losing massive amounts of money. They use the foreign aid to do so. If U.S. foreign aid were cut off, Israel's corrupt politicians would be forced to start privatizing and to start liberating Israel's economy. So foreign aid economically is terrible for Israel. You can never build a healthy economy through handouts. You can never build a healthy economy through begging and contributions and creating a welfare state. Foreign aid for Israel is like giving drugs to a drug addict. You are not helping that person. You're only hurting that person. Now, militarily, it is a disaster for Israel. Israel has the ability to build her own military industry. Israel already builds 50% of her own weaponry. 50% of Israel's weaponry is built in the state of Israel by Israelis and Israeli companies already. But the other 50% that involve jet engines and jet fighters and certain aspects of tanks and so on, the other 50%, Israel must buy from multinational corporations in the United States as the price for getting foreign aid. As a condition of getting foreign aid, Israel must buy from multinational corporate traders in the United States, who, by the way, are not doing any favor for America or the American people either, these multinational corporations. If Israel were not getting this foreign aid, and if Israel had true military and economic independence, Israel could develop her own weapon systems. Who builds most of the weapons in America anyway? Jewish scientists and Jewish brains built most of America's weapons. The Manhattan Project, which created America's atomic bombs, had 40 scientists. There were 40 scientists, key scientists on the Manhattan Project. 37 out of the 40 were Jews. 37 out of the 40 scientists on the Manhattan Project that built America's atom bombs, that made America the leading force in weapons technology in the world, the unchallenged leader in the world, were Jews. 37 out of the 40, even though the Jews were less than 2% of America's population. Less than 2% produced 34 out of the 40 scientists that enabled America to become the technological giant of the world. I mean, the Jews are the ones who build most of America's weaponry. If not for the Jews, America wouldn't be in this superior situation militarily or economically. The Jews are most of the people who make that possible are Jewish brains. And so if Jewish brains can do this for America, Jewish brains in Israel can also do this for Israel. Israel could easily build her own weapon systems. Israel could sell these weapon systems to other countries and earn billions of dollars. Israel is not allowed to do that now as a precondition of getting this so-called foreign aid. So militarily, economically, in every respect, this is a disaster. And worst of all, this artificial dependence upon the United States that Israel has because of the so-called foreign aid. Because of that, Israel is vulnerable to being pressured. America tells Israel what to do. Israel can't do anything on her own. She's not a sovereign state anymore. And so the New World Order traders in Washington, who also, by the way, are bad for America, They're not doing America any favors either. They're also bad for this country. But these New World Order creatures in Washington who work with Europe and the UN and NATO and all these international forces, they dictate to Israel that Israel has to commit suicide and take suicidal steps. They're constantly pressuring Israel to commit suicide. They're constantly undermining Israel. And Israel is vulnerable to this because if Israel doesn't do what America tells Israel to do, then the administration in Washington, whether it's Democrat or Republican, doesn't make a difference, says to Israel, you don't do what we say, we're going to cut off the foreign aid. We're giving you foreign aid. You've got to do what we tell you. If Israel weren't receiving foreign aid, that vulnerability would disappear. And Israel could become truly independent and do what she has to do to survive, which would be good for Israel and good for America and good for everyone. Because then Israel would have the ability to take care of the Arab Muslim Nazi terrorist threat that threatens not only Israel, but threatens America, Europe, and the whole Western world. And so foreign aid to Israel is a disaster for Israel, disaster for America, disaster for everybody. And Bush and Condoleezza Rice are proposing increasing the foreign aid package to Israel, which is terrible. They claim that they have to do this because of the Iranian threat. The Iranian threat, the Israeli Air Force could destroy the Iranian nuclear bomb-making program easily. The American Air Force can destroy it easily. I mean, this is just BS. That cowardly pig George Bush doesn't have the guts to take care of the Iranian problem. And certainly Condoleezza Rice wouldn't know what to do. And the traitor leaders of Israel aren't doing it. But if we had real leaders in America or in Israel, we could take care of this problem easily through conventional airstrikes on the Iranian nuclear program. But they're not only giving increased foreign aid to Israel, they're using this as the excuse to give increased foreign aid to everybody. And by the way, Israel gets nothing. Israel gets peanuts compared to what the Arab Muslim Nazis get from the United States. Israel gets $3 billion a year, puny $3 billion a year, and all the Nazi satanic Jew haters, Yamach Shmam v'Zichram, may their names and memories be obliterated, make a big deal about that all the time. Say, foreign aid to Israel, which is nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, and it hurts Israel. As opposed to that, Israel's enemies, the Arab Muslim Nazis, get hundreds of billions of dollars in loans that are never repaid, hundreds of billions of dollars every year to buy oil that we don't have to buy from them. We can create our own sources of energy here in the United States. So we subsidize the Muslim Nazis to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars a year, trillions of dollars if you look at the extended long-term period, which is 1,000 times more than we give to little Israel. And Bush and Condoleezza Rice are not satisfied with that. They think we should be giving even more to the Arab Muslims so they could have even more babies and become even more of a threat to us and do even more to build nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons to set off in American cities and murder millions of Americans, which is their goal, which is their stated goal. And we're helping them. We're helping them do this. We're giving them foreign aid so that they could destroy us. That's Bush. That's the Bush Condoleezza Rice policy. And of course, when I attack Bush and Condoleezza Rice, let's understand something. They're terrible, but the Democrats are even worse. Hillary Saddam Arafat and Barack Hussein Obama would be even worse than Bush. Even worse. So both parties are terrible. The Democrats happen to be even worse. And so the Democrats have to be defeated in next year's presidential election. But the bottom line is we must build a mass movement. We must build a mass movement in this country to fight against all foreign aid. All foreign aid must end immediately, especially to Israel. The best thing you could do for Israel is cut it off immediately. Israel could not only easily do without it, Israel would be flourishing without foreign aid. So all foreign aid, all U.S. foreign aid should end immediately. No more foreign aid. We should begin a mass movement for that if we become a mass movement. If the Jewish Task Force, and by the way, you don't have to be Jewish to join the Jewish Task Force. Most of our members in the United States are not Jewish. If we become a mass movement, we're going to stop all foreign aid. Join with us. Shalom.